Okay, we just got our first break in the Tory Lanez trial. We had opening statements. Opening statements are still actually going. We had to pause midway through for lunch. Better than TV. If you watch the prosecution's opening statement, you would say guilty. If you then watch the defense's opening statement, you would say, what the hell is the prosecution thinking, charging him? Basically, the prosecution started with this story. They said that, hey, they're all at the party, and Tory is leaving the party with Meg. They're in the car. An argument breaks out, during which Meg says and insults his skills as a rap artist. This leads to a situation where she gets out of the car and he shoots at her feet and yells, "Dance, bitch." And then she ends up at a hospital, and a doctor takes out 3 fragments of bullet wounds from her foot. Now, if you just hear, and the prosecution says that Kelsey, the other woman in the car, is going to testify that Tory shot Meg. And Kelsey has a text message where she texts somebody that, hey, Tory shot Meg. And then the rest of the prosecution's case is based on all these calls and texts where Tory's like, oh, I'm so sorry, oh, I'm so drunk. He never says that I shot him. He's like, oh, I'm just so sorry, I'm so drunk. So question what he's apologizing for. So that's the prosecution's case. Seems pretty easy. Then the defense comes up, and man, it gets spicy. First, the defense goes, they're not telling you about half of what's going on. The most important thing they're not telling you about an eyewitness who saw 2 women fighting, Kelsey and Meg. And so let's talk about why them 2 are fighting. Let's talk about how she was in the front seat. The gun was caught in the front seat. Let's talk about how she might have gunpowder. She does have gunpowder. Let's talk about how this has nothing to do with the fight between Tory and Meg and everything to do with the fight between Meg and Kelsey. And then the defense starts dropping the bombs. He basically says this, that they're in the car. Yeah, they left. But do you know why they left? They left because Kylie and Tory were in the pool together. And Kelsey and Meg both felt some type of way about that, to the point that Meg felt really some type of way about that. And she was really trying to go, to the point that eventually, because of how Meg is acting, this is according to the defense, Kylie Jenner goes to Meg Thee Stallion and says, it's time for you to leave. They all leave. The defense's point is what happens in the car is this. Tory questions Kelsey, hey Kelsey, why are you backing up Meg for me trying to, get it on with Kylie Jenner? Meg has been snaking men from you your whole life. I hooked up with you, Kelsey, and then Meg went behind your back and hooked up with me. And Kelsey, this is not the first time. You had been hooking up with Ben Simmons. Meg went behind your back and hooked up with Ben Simmons. You had been hooking up with DaBaby. Meg went behind your back and hooked up with DaBaby. And so the defense starts dropping all these grenades. The crowd is captivated. The jury is like, oh, what's going on? And there's every reason to believe that there could have been a fight here, not between Tory and Meg, but between Meg and Kelsey. And the shooting could have not been Tory. It could have been done by any one of the other people in that car. What does all of this mean? Well, I'll tell you a couple things. First, Corey Gamble, Kris Jenner's husband, is going to testify, so this will continue to be must-see TV. 2, the judge is terrific. I expect a very fair trial. The lawyers on the defense side are terrific. I don't know what the government lawyer was doing, giving an opening presentation that made it seem like the most open and shut case ever, when in fact there are huge questions, including an eyewitness who saw 2 women fighting, suggesting that you have to explain that theory to the jury, and you didn't. So I don't love the prosecution's opening in that regard. Stay tuned. We'll have the full coverage here. It's up and it's stuck in the Tory Lanez trial.
It is up and stuck in the Tory Lanez trial. Ladies and gentlemen, court is now in session. Finally, after 2 years, after hearing everything that everyone's got to say about this, after seeing Meg crying in front of Gayle King, doing all these interviews and statements and songs and diss tracks and all that, finally, the trial is here. Finally, we get to hear the truth. We get to hear Megan present her case. We get to hear Tory present his case. And now we see what is the truth, what is going to happen. Here's the key thing. Megan's former friend, Kelsey Nicole, she has been very, very quiet these past few years. Yeah, she's made a diss track or whatever you want to call it, but she has not been in the public eye. She ain't said much on social media because no matter what Megan says or what Tory says, people going to take their sides. But she knows the truth. She was there. She was in the car. And you have eyewitnesses, according to the defense. Eyewitnesses saying that the defense saw 2 women fighting, not a man and a woman, saw 2 women fighting. So likely Megan and Kelsey, they've been friends since that incident. They had followed each other. They haven't spoken to each other. More than likely, they made some diss tracks towards one another. Let's keep it going. We got another update about this. Let's keep it going.
All right, we're back with the rest of the update in Tory Lanez. So we are taking our afternoon break. There's going to be more testimony at the end of the day. But right now, let me catch you up on what's happened since lunch. The defense continued and concluded their opening statement. They confirmed that their theory of the case is going to be that Kelsey was the shooter, Tory was just trying to break up the fight. Then the prosecution went up. They put on a police officer as their first witness. This is the police officer who arrived at the scene of the shooting. He testified about how he saw gun casings, blood spatter. This was a big mistake in my opinion because the defense attorney ended up tearing this police officer's testimony to shreds. He basically got the officer to admit that they did not use the proper evidence markers to mark and identify the location of every piece of evidence. So the police cannot tell you where blood was found exactly in relation to the gun casings, where based on the trail of blood the victim would have walked around. They can't tell and paint the whole story of what happened when the person got out of the car. Why, if you can't paint that story, why, if you didn't use the evidence markers, why, if you purportedly have a very simple case, did you waste your time making your first witness a police officer whose testimony is going to get torn to shreds by the defense attorney? Big mistake in my opinion, if you ask me. From here going forward, the defense will always be able to point out that the government's investigation is completely incapable of telling the jury about the movement of the victim outside of the car. So if you're trying to inject reasonable doubt, alternative theories, you've now done a great job setting it up that the government's story has holes in it.
Oh man, this is getting crazy already, man. Oh my God. So now we're getting down to the truth of all this. Now, after 2 years, chains are finally being taken off. The truth is coming out. Tory Lanez got his ankle braces taken off. Now we're in trial. Now we get to hear the truth. Now we get to hear not just Megan's side of all this. Now we get to hear Tory's side as well. Because for 2 years, Tory has had a gag order. For 2 years, Tory has had to be silent. But for 2 years, Megan could just speak her mind, can go on Gayle King, can say whatever she wants to say. But for 2 years, we have not heard the other side of this story. So now it is finally coming out. This is why we need to stop living in a world where we just believe all women up front and prosecute the man off rip no matter what the situation is. We saw this before with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. We saw the fact that Johnny Depp had to go through countless days and weeks and months to prove that this was defamation brought upon him, to prove that Amber Heard lied on this man's name. Why? To protect her own image. And here we go again, where a woman can just say whatever she wants to about a man. A woman can accuse a man of anything, even the most heinous crimes when it comes to violence and rape. So here we go again where the man is deemed guilty before proven innocent, where the man is deemed guilty by public opinion. We have got to stop this. We live in a land where you are innocent until proven guilty. So until this man is proven guilty, we got to stop all this. Well, he did it. He did that to Megan. We're going to cancel him, this, that, and the third. No. Let's wait until the truth comes out. Let's hear what both arguments have to say. And let's see how good of a defense that they can put up to fight back against the narrative that's been put out there for 2 straight years. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Stay tuned for more content. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.